We're talking March Madness and the NFL offseason. Sports Talk Live is next. Welcome to Sports Talk Live. I'm Andrew Klon.
I'm Ben Stogebauer.
I'm Alec Bruss.
I'm Aaron Morse.
And we're talking this week March Madness. There's a huge weekend. The first four started on Tuesday, but the first round started on Thursday and Friday. Interesting matchups, but not a lot of upsets. Those were kind of reserved for the weekend. Some big teams going down. Let's jump right into it, guys. What did you guys think? What were your first impressions of the week?
My first impressions were the relative lack of upsets other than really Middle Tennessee, I guess Xavier based on their seeding, and I suppose Wichita State. There wasn't a lot in the way of upsets in this tournament. Although the Badgers beating Villanova, I would say, is a pretty significant upset given that Villanova is a defending champion, and I don't remember there being too many people picking Wisconsin to beat Villanova. Also worth noting that the Big Ten I think exceeded anyone's expectations for them coming into the tournament. And the ACC only having one team make it to the Sweet 16 is pretty surprising, I would say, given that they had 8 teams in the field this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, first I might as well say it's the best weekend of the year, at least for me. I love watching basketball games, especially March Madness. It's always so competitive. I felt like most of these games came down to the wire, either by a shot or two at the end. Not many upsets. I mean, Middle Tennessee, they returned, I think, almost all their starters, so I had them winning and in my bracket, so that really wasn't even an upset to me. I'd say the biggest upset of the weekend was South Carolina over Duke. I know a lot of people don't like Duke, but that's the team that I cheer for besides the Badgers, and they came off a hot streak winning the ACC. They were just beating teams. They showed their potential that they could have shown all year, but they just couldn't seem to figure it out. But coming into the tournament, they were coming off a hot streak, and I just figured this was the year. And once again, I'm a letdown Duke fan.
South Carolina is probably my biggest upset of the weekend. There's a lot of upsets, like Ben mentioned, Middle Tennessee and Wichita State and Xavier, but those are upsets that I didn't really see as upsets. I think that they're a little misseeded and upsets that really I think most people picked in the first round.
Right.
But the second round for me was the best round out of the weekend just because of wins for Xavier over FSU, Wisconsin over Villanova, South Carolina over Duke, and then one that really wasn't an upset but one that really surprised was Florida over Virginia. Florida really handed it to Virginia. I don't know if many people saw Virginia offensively as bad as they were, even though their offense is a little weaker than their defense, but I don't think anyone expected a 30-point blowout there. So,
did you guys, you mentioned, some of the misseeding that kind of fell along the Big Ten ACC lines. Did you guys feel like that is an argument worth having, like which one was overseeded or which one was maybe overestimated?
I think that the Big Ten was probably underestimated coming in. I think the seeding of the Big Ten was very bizarre. I don't really understand why Minnesota was 5th, but Wisconsin was 8th. And I don't understand why Wisconsin and Northwestern were both 8 seeds.
Yeah.
I think Wisconsin was clearly the better team of all those three, and that was proven out in the field thus far. I think the ACC probably came in a little overrated. When you have 8 teams, that's going to be expected. But overall, I think the ACC's done as well as you can expect. It's a one-game sample size. If these teams played multiple times, they probably would be doing better, but that's how the tournament works.
Yeah, definitely. You guys have anything else on that?
Well, I think that the ACC is as good as the committee thought they were. I think the ACC is probably the best conference in basketball, but the Big Ten was definitely underrated. I think up and down the Big Ten is probably one of the more competitive conferences. If you look towards the bottom, Rutgers gave plenty of teams tough games. Their record might not show it, but then another team that you were saying that was misseeded, I think a lot of people are overlooking Maryland as a 6th seed. Maryland was 2 seeds higher than Wisconsin was second in the regular season and in the Big Ten tournament, and Michigan, who won the Big Ten tournament, they were lower than Maryland. So
And
I think
Minnesota.
yes, I think that the committee, when people are looking at ACC and Big Ten, whether or not they're overrated or underrated, was based off the committee, because I think people are basing their opinions off of that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, speaking of the Big Ten, the Badgers, as we mentioned, pulled a big upset in everybody's eyes, being the number 1 overall seed Villanova. They were led by Nigel Hayes, had 19 and 8 rebounds. Lacrosse's own Bronson Koenig had 17 points. And the Badgers shot 53% from the field while holding Villanova to just 41%. The biggest play of the game was Nigel Hayes getting a baseline driving layup to basically win the game for him. Vito Brown had a big steal late. What did you guys think of that game, and what did you guys think of the Villanova performance from a number 1 overall seed?
I think Villanova played pretty well given the circumstances. I think Wisconsin just played better. When it boils down to it, the NCAA tournament's a 1-game sample. If the hot team is probably going to win more often than not. Very rarely, I think, do we see the best team win in a lot of matchups. It's just what team is hot, and Wisconsin was hot, and their defense played exceptionally well. As you talked about, Nigel Hayes and Bronson Koenig came up big in that game. They needed to come up big, and if they continue to come up big, I think they have a real shot of getting to the Final Four. But I will say, I think maybe the most impressive part of their win is the fact that Wisconsin shot a miserable 43.8% from the free throw line. They've got to clean that up real quick.
Yeah, well, Villanova being the number 1 overall seed, I was kind of iffy about that because I feel like they come from a little bit of a weaker conference. I mean, I know that they are the past national championships. They return a lot of their starters, but they come from the Big East. It's not the Big East that it used to be. There's a lot weaker teams in it. So I think like a Kansas deserved a number 1 overall seed, or someone just a little bit stronger schedule. But Wisconsin, I mean, they really surprised me. I did have them winning in my bracket, but I just wanted to stick with them. But they not won the Big Ten tournament. Sorry about that. They got to the championship in the Big Ten tournament. They were playing well finally. I mean, as a Badger fan all year, it's kind of been an up and down roller coaster ride. Yeah, I mean, you don't know what team's going to show up each night. But they're going on a hot streak right now, and the only thing they need to clean up is their free throws. But that's been a big woe for them all year, and hopefully that doesn't come back and bite them in the tournament.
And they have Florida next, right?
Yes. In Madison Square Garden on Friday. For me, the big key is Nigel Hayes. The whole regular season, he did not play up to his expectations. He was talking about going to the draft last year and thinking that the Celtics were going to pick him number 3 overall, and then he's coming through the regular season now struggling, but he's really picked it up in the tournament right when they need him. Bronson Koenig has always been that big shot hitter for the Badgers, and right now the Badgers' experience combined with their inside-outside game that they have a good balance of, it just overplayed Villanova's team. I think that Villanova, as a defending champion, did not play like a defending champion. They really struggled down the stretch after taking a lead by 7. Wisconsin went on a 15-5 run to end the game.
So, who's your guys' favorite? Let's start with you, Aaron. Who's your favorite going forward?
My favorite from the beginning is still my favorite now, and that's North Carolina. I think North Carolina, they're number 1 in offensive rebounds per game, and I think that's a big part. If you can rebound your missed shots and get up second chance points, it's a big thing in the tournament, and I think it really can carry some momentum. And then my sleeper, I have a sleeper in Michigan, who actually was my sleeper to begin as well. I have Michigan in the Final Four.
Really?
So that's I'm going to continue with that sleeper. But then South Carolina is a sleeper that I didn't have originally. I think they can easily beat a Baylor team that's I think they're a little overrated. They got a good team, but I think South Carolina with Sindari Stornwell can pull off an upset there and maybe make it to the Final Four.
Yeah, Baylor's actually, I think, 5-6 in their past 11 games. They've kind of been in a little slump, and with the way South Carolina's playing, they should have no problem getting past them. My predictions, I think Kansas has a good team to win it. They have Frank Mason, who's a senior. He's just been on a rampage. And then Josh Jackson, the freshman, his shot is just unbelievable. They were comparing him to like how he creates a shot and distance for his shot to like Kevin Durant. And then my sleeper would probably be the Badgers.
Sounds good.
I also have UNC as my favorite. They had a disappointing end to their season last year. I think that's fueled them all year. And my sleeper would be Wisconsin. I think they have a pretty clear path to the Final Four.
Sounds good to me. All right, well, that's it for March Madness. Let's go to a promo for Perfect Pets.
Hi everyone, I'm Loki. I'm 14 years old and I'm looking for a low-key home with owners to snuggle with because I like to be the center of attention.
Hi guys, I'm Gertie. I'm a gentle, affectionate 4-year-old pit bull. I love to get kisses and get head scratches. Huh? What? Wow! Hi, I'm Sammy. I'm 3 years old and I love exploring. I can't wait to get to know my new home and family.
Hi guys, I'm Bane, a high-energy, people-loving, 7-month-old German Shepherd Pit Bull mix. I need lots of space to run around.
To find out more about adoption for these pets or others, contact the Cooley Region Humane Society at 781-4014.
And welcome back. That number for the Cooley Region Humane Society is 781-4014. Well, let's move on to the NFL in the offseason. Free agency has been a big story since the beginning of the month of March, and there's been some major deals, a lot of players moving, some players staying, some weird trades. Let's dive right into it. Ben, what do you think was the biggest deal, move, not move of the offseason so far?
I think the biggest deals thus far have all been from the Patriots. For a defending champion to come out as aggressive as they've been in this offseason is something you don't see very often, quite frankly. Usually teams that come off the Super Bowl are really trying hard to retain players, but the Patriots have gone out and improved their defense exponentially with the signing of Stephen Gilmore. They might still be able to bring back Malcolm Butler as well. They re-signed Dante Hightower, added Coney Healy, who was a Super Bowl hero a few years ago, and they just made their offense even better somehow with Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, I have to agree. The Patriots, I just wasn't expecting them to come out of the gates like that. They get Stephon Gilmore, like the best corner in this year's free agency. It's just crazy that a Super Bowl champion came out and spent that much money. But besides that, I think Alshon Jeffrey to the Eagles, it really gives Carson Wentz a receiver that he hasn't seemed to have while he was there. Had Nelson Aguilar, who was benched for a part of the season, who just hasn't lived up to his standards. So it really gives him a reliable receiver and a big receiver.
I do like that Alshon Jeffrey addition, but I question the one-year deal for Jeffrey. I don't know what the deal is with that, if he doesn't trust the Eagles or the Eagles don't trust him. But my biggest is Brandon Marshall to the Giants. I think if you put Brandon Marshall on the opposite side of OBJ, I think those two can be a dynamic duo. Brandon Marshall's kind of the downslope of his career, but I think if he goes to the Giants and is opposite of OBJ with Eli Manning throwing to him, I think he can maybe have another 1,000-yard year, which he's consistently done over his career.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the other big moves or surprising things was actually very early in the free agency period, a trade between the Browns and the Texans moving Brock Osweiler to Cleveland in sort of a weird, we'll take your quarterback with a ton of salary move, and they got draft picks with him to just take the money. I thought that was shocking, and I don't know, guys. They didn't. And then there's talk about them moving on from him automatically. They're still looking for a guy to draft. So I don't know. That seemed like a really weird trade. You mentioned the Brandon Cooks trade already. I think that just those huge deals are going to, especially the Patriots deals, are going to change how we sort of look at them. With Tom Brady on the downside of his career, it's interesting. They actually look like they're loading up. So, well, maybe they'll keep going. But let's talk about the NFC North specifically. Let's start with everybody's favorite team on this show and should be in the entire world, the Green Bay Packers, because they're awesome. They haven't done much of anything in free agency. The only real big signing that they made was Martellus Bennett from the Super Bowl winning Patriots, signing to basically replace Jared Cook. They got another backup tight end, Lance Kendricks. They re-signed Devon House, who was in Jacksonville and had left the team. He's back as a cornerback, but they haven't addressed their main need, and that's the guy that they lost, Eddie Lacy. And right now they're riding with Ty Montgomery. Do you think that they need to do more for that position?
I think it's fair to say that the Packers could use to improve the running back position. Ty Montgomery played really well last year, but I think it's fair to say, based on how Mike McCarthy used him, that perhaps they don't think he's a guy that you can trust to get 15 to 20 touches a game. And frankly, he probably shouldn't be getting 15 to 20 touches a game, given that he was a receiver before the middle of last year. And the good news for the Packers is that the running back market is really ripe right now. We have Adrian Peterson, Jamal Charles, LeGarrette Blount. So there's a fair amount of running back talent there. Personally, I would like to see them sign Jamal Charles. I think he would bring them another dynamic offensive weapon, and I would love to see what the Packers could do with him, along with the additions they've made on the offense.
Once again, Ted Thompson coming up short for the Green Bay Packers. Every year,
Rants are later, Alec. Rants are later.
every year he talks about, oh, this is maybe the year, bring in some big free agents, but every year he just lets us down. He lets Eddie Lacy go. We have Ty Montgomery, who had one good game against the Bears. He gets less than 10 touches a game. I mean, that's got to say something right there, that they don't hand him the ball enough. I mean, you got to give A-Rod just one of the best QBs. You have to give him some backup. I mean, he needs some help.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for the Packers was that they didn't re-sign Cook, and it's because Rodgers wanted Cook.
Yep.
And they don't give Rodgers anything that he wants, and I think that's a big problem for probably the best QB in the NFL. It's kind of like LeBron James going out and asking for help. The Cavaliers give him help. You know, Tom Brady's on the decline of his career, so the Patriots are going out and getting help. Well, why don't you help Aaron Rodgers when he wants you to keep guys like Jared Cook? I don't know.
I definitely think an underrated guy that has gone on, and that's Micah Hyde to the Bills. He was really the only viable cornerback / nickel guy for the Packers in the end of the season last year. Their safeties are great, but they have major problems on the outside in the secondary. They let him go, and they haven't addressed the position yet. So we're looking, hopefully they do something in the draft. I don't know. Yeah. Moving on to the team that we hate, and everybody should hate, the Minnesota Vikings. Sorry, colleague Sam Woodworth. The Vikings have signed 2 tackles already this offseason, shoring up a position. They signed Latavius Murray. They re-signed Adam Thielen. I don't know entirely what to make of what they're doing. It seems like the right direction, but they're still sort of dealing with the is Teddy Bridgewater ever coming back thing. You got something to say
Yeah,
about
I think they just need to move on from Teddy Bridgewater. He actually, if you look at his leg, kind of like they're parallel to each other. Like when he dislocated his knee. So I don't think he's ever going to come back fully healthy. You know, you need to move on with Sam Bradford, and that's what they did with getting offensive line help, which is what they need. Their offensive line struggled last year, and they lost one of their best ones in Matt Khalil, but they ended up going out and getting Mike Remmers and Riley Reif, who should shore up that offensive line. And adding Adam Thielen, I think he really picked it up in the back half of the season, and I think that was a great re-signing for them.
I kind of have to agree with that. The Vikings seem to have had a tackle problem the past few years. Everyone's getting to their quarterback, so that's really going to help Sam Bradford out. They have a great defense, but they just really don't have any great receivers. I mean, Adam Thielen did pick up the slack, but I just feel like he doesn't really have much help there. And then Latavius Murray, I mean, it's a good pickup, but Latavius has never been a big runner where he's explosive and can get a lot of yards. He just always seems to get the short little yardage, or he's more of a goal line back, if anything.
How'd you feel about them letting Adrian Peterson go, Ben?
I think that it was the right move given the cap situation. I would have rather them have re-signed Adrian Peterson than Latavius Murray personally, but I think it's understandable why they let Adrian Peterson go. Obviously, as we talked about, their offensive line was atrocious last year. I don't know if their offensive line's a whole lot better, but it can't be a whole lot worse.
Definitely. Well, we'll see how they do. Not really sure about that. Let's look at the Bears next, and really the big move of their offseason. And I'm kind of laughing about it because it's funny to me. Mike Glennon is their new quarterback after they parted ways with Jay Cutler, finally. Bears fans would probably say good riddance, but you're bringing Mike Glennon. I don't know, Alec.
Is Mike Glennon even an upgrade over Jay Cutler? That's a real question. As a starter, he's 5-13, QBR under 60. It's laughable for the Bears because as a non-Bears fan, I find it hilarious. It's just funny. They lost Alshon Jeffrey. They have some younger receivers. We don't know what they're going to do. They have a good running back in Jordan Howard. It's kind of a young defense, kind of rebuilding. But they just don't have a QB, and you kind of have to have a QB to lead your team.
Yeah, I think that Mike Glennon's going to do nothing for the Bears. I think they really should have kept, if they're going to keep any of the QBs, it should have been Brian Hoyer. He showed the most promise. He's younger. But also you bring in Mike Glennon, but then you lose Alshon Jeffrey, who is your best wide receiver, and you didn't really do anything except for give him Marcus Whedon, who is a average receiver in the NFL. So I don't think the Bears really upgraded at all.
Yeah, the Bears have made a bunch of very confusing moves, in my opinion. The Michael Enns signing is desperate at best. I don't really understand why they signed both Kendall Wright and Marcus Wheaton. I feel like they're kind of the same guy. I don't know why you'd want both of those guys over Alshon Jeffrey. And they wanted to let Alshon Jeffrey go. I don't know why they didn't just trade him at the trade deadline, which would have made a lot more sense. But overall, I think the Bears probably sense that they're maybe not as far along as they had hoped. And the front office probably needed to make some aggressive moves, because if they don't play well this year, they might not be back.
Yeah, definitely. The other team in the NFC North that we got to talk about just real quickly, the Detroit Lions. They got TJ Lang basically for free from the Packers, and that's probably going to be a big shift. TJ Lang a little bit older for his position, and had some injury issues with Green Bay, but you've got to like a move as the Lions when you're weakening your opponent and you're getting stronger yourself. So we'll see how that goes. Right now, we're going to take another break. We're going to get a promo from the Com Club. All right, we're back with our final segment here, and let's get into some quicker topics, some things that aren't as big in news, but are kind of weird. Marshawn Lynch being recruited by Marquette King and the Raiders. Do you guys think this is real?
I think it's real. I mean, the Raiders have some swagger, and Marshawn Lynch brings all the swagger. I think the NFL with Marshawn Lynch is a lot more fun, but I'm going to guess he's going to stay retired.
Yeah. I think it's real. He hasn't really talked to his agent yet. His agent just came out and said that he knows Marshawn misses football, and his decision could come as soon as 3 hours either way. So I guess we'll wait and see.
I think it's completely real. All the reports say that it's real. I think Marshawn Lynch on the Raiders would be awesome. He totally fits their style of football, and all I know is that it's Raiders or bust. If he's not going to the Raiders, it's going to be to no one, and he's going to stay retired. But I think it's real.
All right. Do you guys think that he's a serviceable running back anymore at his age? He's over that 30 plateau.
I would say yes. I mean, he took the season off.
Been in Europe, filming Skittles commercials.
Very true. He's kind of an odd character, but I definitely would say that he's still a serviceable running back.
I think he doesn't even have to be really a starting running back or starting running back caliber. They have two other running backs that played throughout the year with them, and if they just run a three-headed monster at teams, I think it should be fine.
Yeah, if they utilize the running backs the way they did last year, I don't see why it would be a problem.
All right, moving on to our next topic, and it's Tom Brady's recovered Super Bowl jerseys. Thank goodness. He got his jerseys back from the most recent 2 Super Bowls, I think it was. They were found in the possession of a credentialed media member in Mexico. So now we got an international incident involving Tom Brady. Does this matter at all?
Not really. Personally, I could care less about what people are doing with Tom Brady's jerseys, but I think it's a good thing that Tom Brady got his jersey back because I'm sure it was important to him.
It's not really a big deal to me, but I think it's a good thing he got it back. I mean, it's pretty memorable Super Bowl. Another thing that I didn't know is that he also lost his Super Bowl jersey number from Super Bowl 48 against the Seahawks, and they found that jersey along with this jersey, so I think that's a little weird.
I think it kind of is a big deal because that jersey was priced at $500,000. So it's a pretty expensive jersey. So I think him getting it back is a good thing, but also because it's kind of like a memorabilia for himself. I think I would want that jersey back. So I think it's a little bigger than people think.
Yeah, another win for Tom Brady, thank goodness. Moving on to a guy who's not doing any winning recently, and that's Tiger Woods. battling back injuries over several years now, and he's hoping to play in the Masters. He said he's going to do whatever he can to play. Is he done, Aaron?
I hope he's not. I hope he isn't done. I think when I say that, I think I speak on behalf of all of golf fans saying that you want him to win another major just to prove that he still has it. I loved watching Tiger Woods and his enthusiasm on the golf course. I would want him to play in the Masters, even if he's a little banged up. But I think I'm hoping he wins one more major before he's done.
I honestly don't think he's going to end up playing in the Masters. I mean, I hope he's not done. I'm a big Tiger Woods fan. I love watching him play, and it really sucks seeing him come back for a little spurt and then go out again like this past in the Dubai Classic. Like, it was just a little odd. I mean, I really hope he comes back for the Masters, but I don't see it happening.
Golf is better with Tiger Woods, but I think Tiger Woods is done.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. All right, let's move on to our favorite segment. It's personalized for everybody. These are our rants, and we're going to start with Aaron, who's got something to say, I think, still about the seeding.
Yes. I've got a big problem with the seeding committee for the NCAA tournament. I think teams such as Wichita State, Louisville, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Xavier, Maryland, Creighton, and now we can see Michigan, we're all seeded incorrectly. I think that Wichita State should have been a much higher seed. They were in some statistical categories shown as a top 10 team in the country, and they were a 10 seed. I think the committee needs to get it straight on their rules for when you can play each other in the tournament. If you play some team one time during the regular season, you can't play them until the Sweet 16. Things like that need to be fixed so that we can get more competitive games, even though they're already competitive, but these upsets are all made by the committee, who started all by misseeding teams. Big thing also was South Carolina getting to play at home in the first and second round as a 7 seed. Usually only the first seeds in each bracket and the second seeds in each bracket get to play closer to home, and that's their reward for playing well during the regular season. But South Carolina played average during the regular season, and they got a 7 seed, and I think that's why a big reason why they upset Duke.
My rant is against any NFL team that trades with the New England Patriots. We all know by now that if the Patriots want one of your players, he's probably a pretty good player. Don't trade him, because when you do, the Patriots keep winning, and nobody enjoys that. We all want parity in the NFL. We want parity in all sports, and the idea that the Patriots just had the biggest comprehensive victory in Super Bowl history, and I followed that up by adding 2 Pro Bowl players and bringing up their defense, is just sickening. Just don't make a trade with the New England Patriots. You're probably not going to get good value back, and it's not good for anyone.
My rant is at the New York Knicks and Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson has come into this organization, and it seems like he just doesn't care. He's trying to run the triangle. He brings in all these marquee players that are good players in the league this past year, and they have done nothing. They may get a lottery pick this year. They have just done nothing. Carmelo's been on the trade block the past 2 or 3 years, and they want to get rid of him, but they haven't. I'm not quite sure what's going on. They have a Derrick Rose, who is a pick-and-roll type of point guard. So why would they bring him in when they're trying to run a triangle? I mean, he can get to the hole whenever he wants, but they just don't utilize him right, and I'm just very disappointed in the Knicks season this year.
All right, my rant is about a topic we were going to cover together, but I stole it. It's the Golden State Warriors and the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it's something that is like leading the standings in pettiness. The Warriors have been going on anonymously in the media talking about how they didn't think Kevin Durant got the right reception when he came back to Oklahoma City the first time, and they're complaining about how he's such a great person for that franchise. They should have respected him more when he came back and thrown a parade for him, whatever else. I just don't understand why Golden State's trying to enforce the rules of how you deal with people and when they leave. I mean, he did the Ray Allen thing. He went to the enemy. You don't throw a parade for that guy when he comes back. You probably don't throw batteries at him either, but, not everybody's LeBron either. So that was just something that I didn't think was necessary, but I guess they got their revenge when Steph Curry and Klay Thompson went off the other night. So, you know what? Good for them anyway. Well, that's it for Sports Talk Live this week on WMCM. Join us again next Tuesday for another set of shows. We will be on Charter Channel 99 and Campus Channel 200.